Okay, today we don't need to say more. We need to feel what's true. We don't need polished words. We need a deeper truth. And today, it's ready to surface. We may find ourselves reflecting on a conversation that didn't sit right, questioning whether somebody truly sees us for who we are. Maybe we're recalling a time when we felt dismissed or left feeling unimportant. So the energy unfolding today, it's not loud, but it can be persistent. Like that soft ache or a hum or a background noise that you just can't quite ignore. And what's stirring may have roots that go far deeper than we expected. So join me as we gain an understanding of how to embrace this energy. By the end of our time together, my intention is that you now have the insight, the wisdom, the tools to go forward with a strength, confidence, clarity, with love. So hi, I'm Tilly. This is Tarot with Tilly. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the positive, loving support you send me. I send that right back to you tenfold. Absolutely. Welcome to your daily focus, July the 15th, 2025. So the energy of the 15. The energy of the 15 asks us to, what we are tethered to, what doesn't allow us to go forward. With today's energy, I would think that would be something that we're following a storyline as a truth, and it's time to rewrite that story into our wisdom and our courage and our strength and our fortitude and our level of compassion that has evolved because of those moments. 1 + 5 is a 6. The 6 energy is our habits, our behaviors. Could be our routines, our mundane. Absolutely. Shake it up a bit. Move parts around. See what, take something from the morning, move it to the afternoon, vice versa. Yeah, I did that one time, and I had something for about 3 o'clock-ish. When it was around 3 o'clock-ish, I had to spend, some time doing this work. And I found, oh my gosh, it took hours. It literally took hours. I was well into past preparing for supper. And so I moved it to one of the first things I do in the morning, and I've done it in like 45 minutes to an hour. Done. Everything's done. Gift drop, bow on it. So look at where you can change up your life in some way. Maybe it's just a habit, changing a habit, leaving one behind that's not so good for us and replacing it with something that is truly supports us, moves us forward. If we look at the daily numerology, it would be a 7 plus a 6 plus a 9, and that gives us the 22. So we have a master number appear today telling us that this energy is more powerful than we may see, but we need to scratch the surface of it in order to understand it more. It's about letting go of what's no longer practical, no longer has value, no longer has worth in your life, and make a commitment to yourself. Set a goal, a dream, a desire into action, and then be consistent with it. If it's 5 minutes a day you give it the same 5 minutes, hopefully in the same place at the same time point, or only to build up a vibration during that period of time to make you more productive, more active, more goal focused. Sun is in Cancer, Moon is in Pisces, and Chiron semi-squares Venus today. So yesterday, Venus made a semi-square with Eris, which sits right next to Chiron, right? They're kind of in a loose conjunct, but close enough to matter. Okay, so that probably shook loose some buried frustrations around being overlooked or undervalued, or spoken over, maybe. You're telling somebody something, and then somebody just starts something else completely different. You're like, wow, I'm pretty sure I'm not invisible. I'm pretty sure they could hear me. What was that about? So, and you feel like, it's a discomfort that definitely we probably felt yesterday in more of a jar rather than, Eris loves to upset that apple cart to find out the true reason why. So I can see Eris and Pluto just being something unreal. I'm going to look that up, see if we get it in our lifetime, for goodness sakes, because yeah, it digs deeper until we get to the root of the problem. We've taken off all the band-aids. We think that there's no more band-aids, and we find some more because we've hidden it well from ourselves, and we've written a different story from it. And now we really need to see the story for what it is and the wisdom and the empowerment that came out of it. So Chiron's in the picture today. Chiron invites in more of a healing energy. And we got Venus and Gemini. So Gemini's curious and wants to talk. So our voice is strong. It could be that a single comment made today just pushed you the wrong way. It kind of pressed against something a little tender. Okay, this is about how we relate, what we crave to express, whether we feel safe being fully ourselves. Where do we have to shadow ourselves? Where do we have to hide ourselves? Where do we have to play ourselves down or raise ourselves up in order to feel like we fit in, that we matter, we're seen, we're heard, we're understood? We could find a past relationship resurfacing. It could be just in our mind, or it could be actually a literal resurfacing of an old relationship. A feeling of being misunderstood, dismissed, unimportant. Okay, and this is a day where we could feel kind of emotionally raw. Okay, so we could be really on the defensive. Okay, we could be just very super hypersensitive to what people are saying to us and really taking things in personally that probably was not 99.9% of the time. It's a sure fact that it wasn't meant at you, but we take it as such. But it may be showing up to get you going down a little bit of a rabbit hole to why that hit a sensitive spot, why that hit a nerve. Noticing what hurts, and try not to put any kind of judgment in it. Don't say yes, no, right, wrong. Just view it, okay? But don't push it away. Don't pretend that everything's fine. Okay, just gently acknowledge that little emotional flare up that you just had within, that you stopped before it came out. And it might come out still, absolutely, but you're going to give yourself enough time to understand if you need to say it out loud or if it's something that's trying to push you inward to something deeper, more profound is what I'm hearing. So, these small triggers often point to old patterns and they're seeking our attention. So let them speak, okay? Open the door to honest, loving communication. Sometimes healing starts just by saying, that made me feel a little off. Can we talk about it? Are we showing up for ourselves authentically? Are we honoring our voice? Are we honoring our truth? And this energy flows very well through thoughts and words. So meditate on it. But, if you don't feel ready to talk it out loud, that's okay. Write it down. Okay. What happens when you write it down is you give your heart a safe place to explore your emotions and feelings. And what's surfacing now, chances are it's not something new, but it is ready to be seen with some fresh eyes. So a harmless phrase, like I said, might strike a nerve today. All of a sudden you feel sensitive. So just take a breath and ask yourself if it's about this moment or something older being stirred within. Old wounds talk to us, and they may whisper things to us like, you're too much. You're not enough. And these aren't truths. These are echoes. So get curious on the why behind that whisper. Ask yourself, what conversations have I been avoiding because I'm too afraid of being misunderstood, and it turns into a big ordeal that lands to absolutely probably worse off than I was before? Or what belief about myself is ready to be released? What part of my story is ready to be rewritten? And yeah, today's going to probably feel like a form of discomfort. And it's not huge, but it's like that background noise. It's there, and we can't kind of turn it off in our minds. So yeah, a form of discomfort, or maybe we're feeling awkward in some way, or we got a quiet inner tension happening. Chiron, semi-square, Venus. We're asked to look at our wounds so that we can understand ourselves more deeply, to take back our power. And then we have the remnants of the Eris energy yesterday, squaring or semi-squaring Venus as well. And we may notice where the resentment we feel, where we feel invisible, that those statements are actually asking for a voice. And we don't need to fix it all today. Healing is never, in the moment. It starts in the moment, absolutely. But it's a journey like any other. And so we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to let this discomfort guide us into the clarity. We need to sit with it. Because once we see what's been hidden, we take away its power and we reclaim our empowerment. We stop living from the story behind the wound or of the wound. Yeah, we stop living from the story of the wound, however deep that wound goes, and we start living from the wisdom it left behind. So today, discover that wisdom, own it, empower yourself. Okay, let's go to the cards. What do we have? Oh, we had the Ace of Swords, that aha moment, that epiphany, that revelation, that idea, that spark of insight. Okay, underlying energy for today is the Death card. It's time to throw down that cloak. It's time to let go of that weapon. It's time to really understand that it is a time of rebirth, to be alive, and only you can turn that switch. Nobody can turn it on for you. So it's time for you to shed the cloak, drop the weapon. Allow people to have the opportunity to see you before you feel that they'll reject you anyways. To see who you are, to stand in your own, I hear independence, beauty, wisdom, to allow your inner child out. I mean, we are talking about some Gemini energy here. So yeah, let that inner child out to go and explore and expand and get curious on life and the possibilities of our tomorrows. To grow into, to step into, to unlock the pathway to a sense of freedom, a sense of liberation. We have the Chariot. Oh, the big boys are out. The Chariot is traditionally the card that tells you to, whoa, wait a minute. Are we in alignment with the true path? It's foggy. We really can't see. What if we think we're going down the right path, but we actually veered into a different path completely? We want the fog to lift. We want the clarity to come in. We want to sit with the discomfort of not actually taking that step forward. And when we do that, we're actually taking the biggest step forward because it is within ourselves. It's within our strength, our courage, our alignment of what we want and going forward. And it's dark and we can't see far. We can't see clearly. What we, and Neptune is in retrograde right now. So Neptune, did I mention that Neptune is like one of my favorite retrograde periods? Because Neptune is disillusionment. Neptune is the illusion. And so when Neptune goes retrograde, we start to see where we have allowed the illusion to come into play, where we think a certain thing, but it's not that at all. So we want to sit with it and spend some time with it and wait for the light to appear, that aha moment, that epiphany, or maybe just for the fog to lift and the sun to come out and shine. Don't be in a hurry right now to go forward. The inner work you do moves you farther forward than you could ever take in the external world right now. We have the Seven of Pentacles. Where is your focus and where does it need to be? If you go and you put a seed into a bit of dirt in your backyard or in a pot in on your balcony or something, and you just put the seed in there and you say, see you in 6 months, what do you think you're going to come back to? Truly, if you think about it logically, that seed probably is just rotted in there or something. Doesn't even exist. A bird got it the first day. Whatever, okay? A better way of explaining it is you are determined, you're focused, you're going after a dream, a goal, you've got your sights set on it, you see the possibilities, you know that you are more than capable, and you start. And then somebody else's drama comes in and pulls you away, and you start working towards their agenda without even realizing. Okay, and so this is why the consistency. I do it every day for 5 minutes at 3 o'clock. I do it every morning. First thing out of bed. I do it last thing before I shut off the lights and put my head on the pillow. And try and do it in the same place, because that does create a vibration for your intention at that moment. So it gives you more empowerment just by starting to do the consistency. Where is your focus? If we show up for that seed every single day, well, we would have saw that a bird took it and we would have just put another seed in its place and buried it a little deeper, right? We've learned that lesson now. We didn't put the seed deep enough. That bird found it in a heartbeat. And we're watering it and we're pulling the little weeds that somehow get in there. We're making sure that our goal, our dream, our desire has room to not just survive, but to evolve, to expand, to grow. And right now it's about our heart center growing, right? We got Jupiter in Cancer, home and family and a feeling of safety and love and nurturing and care and the expansion of that. And when we do that towards our goals and our dreams and our desires, so essentially for ourselves, there is a great sense of freedom and liberation that comes from all of that. 10 of Cups, the happily ever after. This is the goal. This is the dream. This is the desire. Get a picture of it in your mind. See where you want to step. And yeah, this is going away a little bit from the Chiron semi-square with Venus, but I mean, it is about our true happiness. And so what wound is telling a story to us that is no longer a reality. It's an illusion. And we're going to see through the illusions because we have Neptune on top of it being in retrograde right now. We're in Aries. So self, us. Where did we allow that illusion? I've done so many readings for, and I would say the majority is women, not all. That says, I'm a very strong and independent person. And, it just, the relationship slowly evolved. First, he didn't like my parents and he didn't like my friends, and nothing I could do is just right. And, I was the thorn. And, I used to be a rose, but now I have all these thorns and I don't even think I have a petal left. And he made me believe this about myself. How could this be? Because we allowed somebody else to write the story for us instead of going within and listening to our heart and our own story, the one of strength and conviction and courage and fortitude. And by revealing those little tiny wounds in our life, I tell myself every time I sit down here, okay, we're just going to make it short and sweet. People don't want to sit through a half an hour of me babbling away, and I did have a story to tell, I know. It was right there. Okay, open your heart. The 10 energy. We get this one quite a bit. So it must be a very strong energy with a very slow planet moving, because we have been getting a lot of this. Now, the 10 energy is the 1 energy, right? The 10 energy is also about starting to write the chapters of not only your past, because that's what I would do with each of those clients, is take them to, okay, let's rewrite the story. Who am I today? I know that happened. What is the wisdom I can take from that? And yes, we have to be strong and we have to be purposeful in telling ourselves we are enough, because we have an entire planet telling us we're not, because we don't use the right shampoo, or we don't wear the right clothes, or we don't hang out with the right people, or we don't make enough, or we don't have enough in our bank accounts, or we don't drive the right car, or the way you talk, or the way you look, or right? You're the only one from beginning to end in this play we call life. You are the lead star. So you need to tell yourself of what you want your world to look like going forward. Nobody else is going to do that for you. But there are a lot of people who say, stay, stop, listen to me. You've got to do this. And I will profit from you in time or energy, or even finances, perhaps. Okay, I'm getting off the soapbox. The truth of our world, nature, and environment is love. This is eternal love that makes no demands, no expectations, nor does it place limits or conditions on us. There is an opportunity for each and every person to experience love at the deepest level, if they are willing to open their hearts. Love can and will flow into your heart, but only if you allow it. If you change your perception, nurture and hold you, it will change your perception, nurture, and hold you, and even give you the strength to endure hardship. Take a moment, open your heart, allow love to bring you joy, serenity, renewed energy, passion, and total, unrelenting happiness. How would you like that? Total, unrelenting. I, I did a reading actually earlier today. It was just an energy reading kind of thing, and a little bit based on the astrology. And she was like, "Oh, I'm not in a relationship right now. I'm not dating anybody." And I said, "Oh, don't worry." I said, because the next 7 years of your life is going to be unexpected bliss through meeting the person of your dreams. And maybe it won't be, um, somebody you want to date, but it could be your new best friend. But be open to it. I would say it's more about partnerships and relationships for her, but I'm ready. Oh, go the extra mile with the elephant. Another one that, boy, this year, elephants, elephants, elephants. I'm gonna have to go to a zoo just to see an elephant. Maybe I'll come to your house, man. You got an elephant near you? I'll pack my bags. Okay, here we go. Nurture, productive, communicate. Listen, the purpose of life is not to be happy, but to matter, to be productive, to be useful, to have it make some difference, that you have lived it all. The elephant reminds you that when you feel like quitting, it means that you just have some extra steps to take. And many times people set goals and stop in the middle of them, frustrated. But elephant motivates you to keep going. It could be an exercise program, a new skill that you want to try, or a friend that you have been meaning to call. Elephant teaches us that being gentle, having commitment, and clear communication can help us in our relationships. On the outside, elephant looks like an intimidating creature, but she is actually a nurturer wanting everybody to succeed and feel protected. Elephant is also very telepathic and with a sixth sense can feel the energy with her friends, family, around her, strangers. She senses dangers and responds accordingly. Trust yourself, okay? When that comes up, I always want to say, to trust yourself. If that person doesn't feel right, then maybe they're not right, and it doesn't mean they're a bad person, but your energies clash. Okay, they could be the life of the party. I've known people like that. Oh my gosh, they'd make my skin crawl, but everybody else thought, they'd put them on a pedestal and just standing there in awe about the person, and I really couldn't see what they saw at all. And you probably have somebody in your life that you can kind of relate the same way to. Okay. Um, so she senses danger, responds accordingly. Elephant reminds you where you are needed and how to get a good feel for it. The words may not be spoken. Although elephants are large and heavy, they walk noiselessly and with much grace. Elephant gives you subtle hints that you are needed. So listen to these signals with all your senses. And yes, you are truly needed. You came here with many divine, beautiful gifts to share with all of us and change our life in very small ways and very dramatic ways. So stop hiding yourself. Bring out your authenticity. Let your inner self shine and move towards a sense of freedom and liberation with every breath you take. Until we meet again, remember, I do love you.